Hi guys, it's Mike here from KS Bushcraft Down Under. I'm going to do a video on cheap coolers versus really expensive coolers. So this bright yellow Esky here, I picked up for a lady who wanted a present for her grandson, and he reckoned it was the biggest load of rubbish he's ever seen and refused to use it. So it's come back to me. Okay. Now, as lame presents from grandmothers go, this is not one. Okay, so with my trade card, that was about an $80 Esky at Bunnings. Now the purple Yeti Roadie 24, a fabulous Esky, I use it all the time. That's a $300 Australian Esky. And the Tundra 45, which is what he wanted but he ain't getting, no he didn't get, is a $450 Esky. Okay, so there is a quantum leap between what you need and what you want, especially if someone else is paying. So the yellow Esky is 27 litres. The purple Yeti Roadie is about 22.5. So you could fit 5 kilos more ice in the yellow Esky. And the Tundra 45 is about 32 litres, so a bit bigger again. But I mean, the Esky is 4.5 kilos, Tundra 45 is 11, and the Roadie is about 6 kilos. So this is a nice lightweight Esky. If you're coming home from work every day and you've got access to a freezer and ice, its ice retention is its only shortfall. You know, it's lighter, it's well made. This was the steel belted one, which is a big advantage, because if you put a torch inside most of the cheap coolers, you can see light passing through. That means the sun can see your food and see your ice. So a lot of people think it's keeping the cold in. It's actually keeping the heat out. So heat transfers via convection, conduction and radiation. So sun can shine through these lids. So if there's a shortfall, is the lids are hollow on the cheaper Eskies, and that's an $8 fix with a can of spray foam. Okay, so if you're working in the trades, you quite often use spray foam, so there's always some of that floating around. So the lower cost Eskies will have styrofoam, or polystyrene as we would call it, the white stuff. And the good coolers, the expensive ones, are polyurethane foam. That's why they're so strong. It's a strong foam. So if this isn't making your performance goals, there are a few things you can do to it to make it work a little bit better, or a fair bit better, for a very little cost. So if your budget doesn't stretch to a $300 or $400 cooler, and you're only going away for the odd weekend, there's nothing wrong with this Esky. So if you want to put a seal in it, fill the lid with foam, it'll probably see you out a long weekend. There won't be any ice left at the end of a 3-day weekend, but at $4 a bag, does it matter? It really doesn't, guys. If someone steals a $80 Esky, it's a lot less painful than a $400 one, and chances are the person who really wants that Yeti isn't going to worry about that $80 Esky. Okay. So in this video, I'm going to show you the shortfalls. I'm going to actually take this apart and have a look at this, any easy ways of increasing its performance. And I think it's still a good bit of kit for what most people would need. Yes, if you're going remote and there's no access to ice and all of the above. Like, my justification for having the Yetis is I use them at work. So being a mobile tradesman, I take my lunch, and it saves me over time. So yes, there's a justification for having a top-notch cooler. If you're a weekend warrior, or you're going overnight fishing, and you don't have the money, there's nothing wrong with a budget cooler, guys. There really isn't. Anyway, we'll have a bit work on this Esky, and we'll see how much we can improve it by. So if you're interested, that's what we're going to do. Hi guys, the ambient air temperature is about 32 degrees at the moment. It's a humid day, which is unusual for me. It's about 70% humidity. Temperature on the ground, on the concrete, is 46.5 Celsius, and on the shaded ones it's 34. The lid of the Yeti in purple is 57.7, and the white Esky lid, which is not insulated at all, is at 50.3. The underside is 44 degrees, and the underside of the Yeti lid is 27.7. Those significant numbers. Okay guys, before this Esky lid cools off, let's shoot the white at 37.7, the sticker at 46.9, and the black writing 55.2. There's a huge difference. Okay guys, just to demonstrate that the sun can actually see your food through the Esky lid, I'm going to put the torch on the back and pass it around so light can pass through one of these lids and even through the sticker area. Okay guys, this is a cheap willow cooler, so light passing easily through the uninsulated lid. Can you see it? And there it is going through the sides. Okay guys, I'm doing the 5 screws at the base and lifted out the bucket. Now I've marked the bucket just to make sure it goes back in the same way. So it's actually lined with sheets of foam. Now they're 15 mils thick, which I think is more than you get in the average plastic cooler. So it's only individual sheets, which isn't ideal, meaning that there's gaps and stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure the bucket, and see if there's any spaces, and if there is, I'm going to use some insulating foam sheet to plug those gaps, the stuff here. If I've got enough room to get that in, I'll do that. Okay guys, I made some bobs of blue tack, and I'll put the bucket back in, and as you can see there is a bit of spare room between the bottom of this bucket and that foam, so I've got some room that I can get a bit more insulation. And I mean, due to the fact that the coldest part will be at the base, any more insulation I can add is going to be a bonus. Okay guys, this box is square. This has got a taper on it. It's the box is 260mm deep by 400 wide, and there's about a 5mm taper. So when this gets to the top, it's a tight fit, but I've got spare space here, and I've definitely got spare space at the bottom. So I'm thinking about a half wrap and doing something to work out how much of a gap's in these corners. Okay guys, so there's one layer of foam, so I've felt through the dimples, so I'll punch some holes in one layer. I can definitely get one layer, and I can probably get 2, and that'll also cover up those joints in the styrene. I'd like to do something with these joints as well, but I think this is a good step forward. So I'll get some holes knocked into that, and we'll see if we can get 2 in. Alright, there's one layer made, so I'm going to slide this together and see if I can get a second in there. And I know I can't get it all the way up here because there's just no gap. Okay guys, yeah, one went in real easy, so I'll make another one and try that. Okay guys, I can get 2 layers in, which is great. So that's an extra 4mm of insulation right at the bottom, and it's covering all those gaps. So I'll just nick these corners a bit and make it a bit of a neater job. There's not enough room up here, it's too tight, but down here I may be able to get a little band in of just one layer to the outside of the bucket. So I'm pretty chuffed with that so far. And I'd like to do something with this gap here. That's a bit there. Without jamming the mechanism, that would be good too. Okay guys, what I've done, I've put a strip of this just on the corners. I can push that in. I can't get it on all four sides. It's just too tight. I can only get it to about there. Well, I'm already that mark on the inside. So having this here, that should seal those corner pieces up. And I'm going to cut a couple of pieces of this into circles and insert them around the hinge points. So we've added 4 mils of insulation to the bottom. I've sealed the corners. I couldn't get an extra strip all the way around, it's just in the tapered shape, but I think we've done good work here. So next is the lid, which is obviously the weak spot. So when I was messing around with this foam, I thought I'd just try a piece on top of the lid. Really, it's a little bit ghetto style, but to see the difference. So I've got temperature recordings from the same type of day with clear plastic, and it was only at 6 degrees. I'll check it. There were difference between the lid temperature and the inside, the base of the lid. So it's the lower hanging fruit for this job. So I'll just see what adding the foam does. Okay guys, it's only 9 AM in the morning. Sun temperature about 40 degrees Celsius. It's 41.4 on top of that cooler lid. Now previous with no insulation, there was only 6 degrees cooler underneath, and there's 10 degrees, more than 10 degrees. So even just that on top makes significant difference. So I was thinking on this when I was reassembling that steel belted cooler, if I had a blue plastic cooler and I just wanted a simple upgrade, I would wrap the inside with the aluminium foil, cooking foil. That would have to stop the light passing through, and that's got to be a good thing. So anyway, we're going to get stuck into the lid, and we're not going to leave it like that. Okay guys, I was considering putting a foam strip around here, but when this lid's clonked down, it's actually a really good fit, much better than some of the other coolers I've had. So I don't know if that's going to be much of a benefit. So having a look at the lid, there's these dimples here, which might be the spots for me to drill out to get my expander foam in, and I think that's the next logical thing to do. Okay guys, I've drilled some holes through those dimples. I've wiped the outside down with some olive oil. So this stuff extends about 300% or 3 times. Give it a good shake. So my intention is to come in at an angle through here as best I can, and hopefully work the foam from the ends. So if I do these ends first, if I fall short here, I can top it up from there. So I'm sure the foam will follow the path of least resistance, but just do the best we can. Well, let's wait and see. Okay guys, foam's all dried, all snapped off nice and clean. I rubbed it with oil, so there's There's all my holes. It feels really solid. So yesterday, as this was kicking off, I actually clamped the lid because it was wanting to lift the lid slightly. So I've got great foam penetration. Now I have put a strong torch behind it, and light still does pass through it, which I'm not that chuffed about. So considering to do something on this side, the only problem with that is this has been well thought out for large 2-litre bottles, and these cutouts here align with the top. So if I change that, I won't be able to take these upright, and that's a real bonus because these actually make brilliant ice bricks as well. So I'm thinking on that at the moment. But I think we've done a good job. So I'm going to work out a simple test between this and one of my Yeti Tundras, and just to see how it performs. Okay guys, test time. So sitting in the back of my ute seems awfully full of coolers. So on the left is my Roadie 20. Now it's currently cold, because I keep it cold because I use it on a daily basis. So I decided to test the yellow esky against the Roadie 24 in the middle. So the Roadie 24 has a mass of nearly 6 kilos, I think it's 5.9, and a volume of 22.5 litres. The yellow esky has a volume of 27 litres and a mass of 4.5. So the Roadie 24 is about 1.5 kilos heavier. Now mass is a good thing when they're pre-chilled, and when they're not, it's a negative, because the ice I've thrown in will have to pull down on the Roadie a larger mass, but on the esky a larger volume. So there's 5 litres difference between those two. So in the real world that means you can put in 5 kilos of block ice more into the yellow. Considering we're looking at $80 cooler against 300, I was thinking on putting a 2.5 kilo block of ice, which I've got on my home freezer, into the esky to even the playing surfaces up, but I might try that next time. At the moment I just might let them roll as they are and see how this pans out. Okay guys, that's been 24 hours. Look inside. So we've got 2.5 degrees inside the eddy, just above the ice. The higher up you go, a lot lower. So I can hear a little bit of water in the Yeti. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go for a fishing expedition, and I'm going to weigh either the ice or the water. That one. Let's have a look in the esky. Still plenty of good solid ice. Definitely more water in the esky than the Yeti. Still the same, sort of 3, 10, depending on the height. So I'll try and get the ice out as quick as I can. So, okay guys, 3,853 grams of ice left in the eddy. So bloody solid performance there. So I'll get this one back together and we'll do the same with the esky. So, not much difference. Well, 3,218, not as much as I thought. Okay guys, we're about an hour short of 48 hours. Plenty of ice and water slurry in the Yeti. Superior insulation. And we've still got ice in the esky, so I'll weigh them like I did yesterday. Okay guys, with the Yeti Roadie 24 we've got 2,192 grams. I tried to get as much water off it as possible. So certainly a serious performance from the Yeti. Okay guys, we've got 186 from the yellow esky, so a lot less ice. Okay guys, the ice is all gone in the esky, so let's wrap it up. There's plenty of ice left in the Yeti, so a quick summary: if you're putting in cold food and drinks and putting in a 5 kilo bag of ice, this Yeti Roadie is good for 3 days, nearly maybe 4. Rock solid performance for a $300 Australian cooler. This guy at $80, it's 5 litres bigger, so you could put in a 5 kilo block of ice and still have the same volume. I'm pretty certain that it's the lid is still the shortfall. According to online, some of the good quality Eskies have an 80mm lid of solid foam to keep out the radiation. But I mean, you could put on a folded up towel as well, which would help this no end. Okay. So in the first 24 hours, the Esky melted 635 grams more ice than the Roadie, which has more mass, but a smaller volume. On the second 48 hours, the Roadie had a 101 kilo, 1,660 gram melt. Okay, this one melted 3 kilos of ice, so its lower performance of insulation starts to show. Okay, but with our foam in the lid and our extra sheets on the bottom, 2.5 days. So basically that will get you through a long weekend. You won't have any ice. I didn't expect to have any ice. So 2.5 days, we've still got 7 degrees Celsius inside, so it's a pretty good performance for the money. And of course the Roadie's still got great chunks of ice. And of course it's at 0 degrees, because that's the constant. So guys, don't let just having a cheap cooler stop you going away. It's well and truly capable. Now there are all sorts of things that you can do to get more run out of any Esky, whether it be cheap or expensive. We might get into another video. I think the obvious solution for this is to make a hat for it. Okay. Something you can put on in the back of the car when it's sitting in full sun, and it'll improve its performance due to radiant energy absorption. Anyway guys, if this sort of content helps you out, helps you make good decisions, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you next time.